Hello nerds and welcome to Into the Wild, your favourite wildlife and conservation podcast where we look at all things, well, wildlife and conservation.
This is a podcast of curiosity where we know we don't have all the answers.
Oh, that's my co-host Nadia, by the way.
Hi. But it doesn't really matter because we're here to learn and crucially listen to those who are affected by and closest to the issues that we as conservationists tend to pick over from our comfy living rooms.
So strap yourselves in, open up your luggles, grab a brew and join us as we geek out over nature, share our love for wildlife, rarely take ourselves seriously, all whilst learning. Oh, and we sometimes swear. What?
Why do you always clear your throat?
Why do I always clear my throat?
I just feel like it's for dramatic effect. Everything.
This is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. No one's ever called me out for clearing my throat before I speak, especially when recording a podcast.
It's like,
I haven't spoken for... Right.
This
is a tense start to the show.
Everybody, welcome to Weekly Nature News with Into the Wild. Ryan Dalton, Nadia Sheikh. We are here clearing our throats for you. He's here. He wants to say something. He's got something very important to say.
I just don't think... Heads up, for a month, I'm not letting that go. You're going to regret calling me out on clearing my throat before I talk.
I think we should do a survey of our listeners.
Oh, it's going on the Instagram immediately after this.
Who is in team sympathy Nadia having to work with Ryan, or who is in team sympathy Ryan having to work with Nadia?
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought you were just going to say...
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's in a survey.
I thought we were just on the clearing the throat thing, but it's the whole personality.
Who is it more laborious for?
I feel like I'm online a bit more than you, so I think people be inclined to say it's more laborious for you because they know that
because you put
more of me out there.
Yeah, you have your little proclivities.
Yeah, I like the old attention.
Oh dear, it's okay. I get your thoughts and rants out off the internet.
You get the uncensored versions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very angry.
No, do you know what? My dad sends me your things on Instagram.
Does he actually? It's nice to know one person's sharing them.
And then I'm like, yes, Dad, I know. I've got to watch it again.
I mean, you don't have to. Okay. Welcome to Nature News week. What week is this? Week 6, isn't it?
Of what? The year? Yeah.
Of our Nature News, yeah.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, I think it's 6. Nice to speak to you all again, nerds. Oh, I'm about to yawn. Go on.
We're not out the woods yet. We are still in winter. I feel like we're still in the woods.
Oh, absolutely not down in London.
Oh, go on then.
Spring has sprung. It was 14 degrees today.
Springer Spaniel.
It rained a bit today, but you know the difference between like winter rain and like spring rain? Like it's heavier drops. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, so you've got fat drops.
We got fat drops today. That was my nickname at school. We I don't even know what I meant by that. Yeah, it was a fat drops spring rain, but it was also really sunny. When it was sunny, I was warm. It was hot. It was 14 degrees.
Go on then. What wildlife did you see?
Today, loads of tits knocking about. Well done. I'm proud of you. There's loads of them knocking about at the moment. But actually, I was back home, as you well know, in my birth town of Bracknell. And I see something a lot more now that I never saw as a kid when I was in Bracknell, which is red kites. They're everywhere. Literally, just to the point where you're like, this is a lot. It's not like, oh, a red kite. It's like, oh, it's another 5. But it is really lovely to see. They're flying about everywhere. So that was really nice to watch them circling. And really low, actually. Like, one of them couldn't have been more than like 80 foot above me. Like, it couldn't have been. They
come low. They're a you know, bird of, you know, for people who wanting to get interested in, or you want to get people interested in wildlife, red kites are a really good bird to start them with because
recognisable.
They're recognisable, but also they come and like flirt their feathers right in your face. So.
Well, especially with all the people putting bacon on their shed roof.
No, are they?
They must be. They're too close to houses.
It's the kind of thing I can imagine my nana doing.
I know someone's
do you know
putting meat out somewhere.
My mum and dad, when they've had their Sunday roast, just stick the chicken carcass in the garden.
That's what I mean. I reckon people. Well, people might be doing it for foxes and unawares be attracting.
Also, can I just say, cooked bones,
splinters.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to interrupt your fact there and get in before you. Sorry, it was a very white man thing to do. What was your nature highlight? Pray tell.
My nature highlight. I swear to God, right? I have never, ever, ever, ever really appreciated the song thrush until this year. No, honest to God, this year song thrushes have lifted my heart. Like, I honestly just thought, like, oh, they're just kind of a bit like repetitive, like they go over the same notes.
Oh, sorry. So when you say appreciate it, you mean like you've well heard it, like
I've heard it.
Right, I thought you meant you never really noticed it and appreciate.
No, like
I was gonna say, call yourself an ornithologist.
Blackbirds, robins, even like blue tits, great tits, like. You know, I hear their little songs and I give a song, and I just think song thrushes are like they're a bit like wah, wah, wah. But this year I'm just like, oh, do you know what? It is a beautiful song, and I wonder whether it's because my spirit animal is a blackbird that they're a rival thrush. I've thought about this quite a lot, but either way, song thrushes are singing this week, and my God, just go and enjoy it.
Yeah. Do you reckon it's because it's got the word song in it, and it makes you feel like it should be more songy?
It should be more songy, and it's not more soggy.
And it's not soggy.
Soggy. Everything's a bit soggy this
like
week.
if it was called like the orchestral thrush as well, you're gonna be like, all right, wind your neck in. You're not that good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's got song. It's like, oh God.
There is a bird called the resplendent quetzal, and I feel like it deserves its name.
I don't know why. I found the word quetzal funnier than I thought I'd ever.
Is it because it rhymes with pretzel? Because I never said resplendent.
I didn't know. I don't know. It's something about the quet. I don't know what that.
Quet.
Yeah, it just
anyway,
it's a funny word.
So we've got red kites and song thrushes leading our week this week.
Still
but
birds
what's in the
because there's still all else. Right, nature news. What? Do you want to go first?
I mean,
ladies first.
Yeah, it's not necessarily new news, but I think it's something we've not mentioned before that I would like to track. And there's quite a few things I'd like to track. As you know, that I'm tracking the grouse shooting petition and what happens with grouse shooting. I will track that on this podcast for you. The other thing that I'd like to track that I've not mentioned yet is about the natural history GCSE. So we all, I think, are abundantly aware that there is a chronic disconnect of our community and our society with natural history. There's the old thing of like, kids can name more brands than they can leaves. That's what old people used to say. I can imagine it's still true. Yeah. Sadly, that's not their fault. I'm not demonising or being misanthropic towards young people. I don't not like them. It's not their fault.
And it's not the fault of the leaves or the trees either, to be fair.
Yeah, if you were wondering, if you're wondering that I was blaming the trees, I don't blame the trees either. They're not trying hard enough to brand themselves.
Yeah, no, they could put a bit more into their marketing.
You know what oak trees aren't doing enough of? TikTok.
I mean, it is a fair point.
It's true. So yeah, the natural history GCSE, which the last government did not legislate for but committed to. It was a campaign led by Mary Colwell and supported by so many people. To basically have a GCSE where people will learn to identify plants and animals and fungi and all of the wonderful creatures and habitats out there. And last year, when Labour came into government, that initially indicated that they're basically shelving that until 2030, when it was something that could have been brought in, as soon as Labour came to power. It's ready, it's kind of done, ready to roll out, but they're shelving it. But I was just reminded because Caroline Lucas was on, I can't remember what radio show. So Caroline was talking about that, and it just reminded me that it's not something we've spoken about on the show, but it's worth tracking to see what Labour do with that. And because, oh my God, school age me, if there was natural history GCSE, can you imagine being able to imagine showing up to class, how excited you would be. Oh my God. The notebooks,
well, do you know
the
what?
diagrams.
Funny enough, it was the reason I never stayed on at my school as well. They were trying to get everyone to stay on for A levels and not go to colleges, to stay at the college, at the school that was also a college. But I didn't, because there was nothing for me to do. But if they had the GCSE and then maybe a further education, an A level in more specific areas of natural history, then it would, it's such an interesting topic. I mean, look at how many people work in the sector. Everyone wants a bit of the pie.
Anyway,
Is this?
let's track
also?
it.
Did they also not do that, Labour, because it was like a Tory policy? They dropped a load, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always really, you know me, I'm always like conscious and skeptical about the rhetoric, but they didn't, they're trying to disengage themselves from anything that's Tory. Fucking politicians, get the fuck over it. Some things just need to be
Just good
done.
ideas, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, they're just universally good ideas. But yes, that there's several articles citing that the reason that they've shelved it is that because it's a Tory policy. It's a Tory piece of legislation.
It's stupid, isn't it? Okay, no, it's a good one. It's a good one to keep track of because it feels like it's been going on for ages, and it's important to a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people, a lot of young people. What?
Should when the first year they do it, should we get a copy of the exam and sit the exam and see who does better?
It's always a competition between me and you. Why can't we just sit it and do it and enjoy it?
Let's just sit it for fun together. Yeah, let's do it for fun together, for fun.
And whoever loses pays the other one's rent.
No, we'll do it together.
Oh, you want to do it together?
To see if combined nearly 80 years on the planet.
Yeah, but what happens if we fail? Do we just keep that locked away?
Oh, we don't tell it. We don't tell the listeners.
No, right. We'll release it if we do well. Oh God, imagine if we got like a C. I feel like a C would be worse than a fail. I'd rather just go like, oh, these questions are too hard. But getting a C is like, oh God.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
B minus.
It's like you knew some answers, but not enough to do well.
Like you gave it a go.
I gave it a go.
My worst GCSE, believe it or not, was art. I got a D.
I'm not even going to make a joke.
I didn't apply myself.
Well, you're 16.
I was an annoying 16-year-old. That's like, I feel like I really don't want to follow your rules as to how I should do art because it really should be like, something that moves and out. Yeah, honestly,
God, I've hated to be in school with you.
Hey nerds, sorry to interrupt the show, it's Ryan here. I just wanted to pop on to tell you something quick. We always want Into the Wild to be a free and accessible show, but it does cost to run this thing. So if you ever have any spare pennies or pounds and you want to chuck it towards your favourite nature, wildlife and conservation podcast, then you can do so by going to www.ko-fi.com/intothewildpod. The link is in the write-up of this episode. Anything you're able to give goes straight back into the shows we produce. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Back onto nature news.
Go on, what's your news?
My news is, again, it's not, it is news. There's a great article out yesterday by the lovely Sophie Paval, author and science communicator, and someone that's been on the show before, talking about a topic that we've actually spoken about on the show way back. That must have been like 3 years ago. I had Sean McCormack, vet and naturalist, and dog trainer Zoe McDonald on the show. Where we're talking about pets or specifically dogs, to do with wildlife and their impact on the environment. And this kind of topic came up, but Sophie's basically been talking a little bit more and giving this topic a bit more light about flea and tick treatment on our dogs and cats and its impact on the environment and now specifically biodiversity as well, because we knew that the chemicals that we were using in these treatments, it's not particularly new science that this was in our waters and stuff like that. We knew it was in waterways, going down our drains when we wash our hands, or pets going swimming in rivers and stuff. So we knew it was there, but we didn't really know the impact on things not just living in water. But there's been new research that shows that the recent the word victim came up in this article that Sophie wrote, and I thought actually it's a powerful word, but it's a correct word to use. The latest victims of these insecticides that we use on a flea and tick treatment, well, not me personally, but many are because they're available. A study from the University of Sussex reveals that songbirds are the animals that are the latest victims. So blue tits and great tits, just two of the many birds that line their nests with animal fur, like many probably know. And every nest that was sampled contained a chemical called fipronil. I think that's how you pronounce it. These chemicals have such long, weird words, names and stuff. And then 89% of nests tested contained another 2 insecticides. Now, these are so potent that they've actually been banned by agricultural use in the UK and the EU, but can be bought for anyone for use on pets over the counter. Now in Ireland they have put different rules in place, so you have to get it on prescription, similar to the oral treatment that we've got here in the UK. So if you want to do the tablet form for flea and tick treatment, you have to pay for a prescription from your vet to be able to get it. The oral tablet, but basically this article strips down kind of why it's a problem from dog populations and cat populations to, where we can start changing our behaviours. Now, me personally on this, obviously I work with dogs. I've worked with dogs for 12 years. I've got my own dog, and I'm always reading up in this world of, from science to do with treatment, but also like behavioural work and social work with how people are with their dogs. Now, Riley, my absolute rock of a dog, I don't put any treatment on her at all. I don't do anything like that. I just do reactionary treatment, and there's two reasons I do that. One, because I don't really want to put chemicals on my dog. The other thing is I live in London. The risk is very low. I mean, I think in my 12 years of working with dogs in London, I've seen probably 2 ticks on dogs from the parks that we visit. So it's very, very low. I never get them. Fleas as well. I regularly groom my dog. I brush her every other day. She's constantly sat like on the sofa with me, so I'm stroking her. I would pick up on it early and stuff. So I would use reactionary treatment. If any of these things kind of came up, then I would treat necessarily in the necessary way to give her the right relief from these kind of pests and stuff. And this is a big conversation with this, is where do we need to start going? What do we need from the vet world? We need the vet world to start, and not vets specifically, but the pharmaceutical parts of the vet world to start looking into alternative ways to manage this kind of issue with pets, for fleas and ticks. And as owners, we need to start looking about what is our actual job from a husbandry perspective. So, yes, it's very easy to put a very nasty chemical on your dog and go, well, there you go, brush my hands, I'm not going to get fleas and ticks. But there are better ways, and really we should be bonding with our dogs a lot more. We should be sitting with them, grooming them, checking them, looking in their ears after a walk when you're brushing them down, getting the mud off and stuff. Check their belly for ticks, have a good look in their ears and stuff like that. Wash their dog beds, hoover them regularly, hoover around it. It's just things like this that can just make it a bit more a holistic approach to flea and tick treatment rather than put the chemical on the back of the neck. There's another thing that came up in the article that I thought was kind of scary. I didn't know this. So on the back of the spot-on treatment, so the drops that you put directly on the back of the neck of cats or dogs, on the back it says don't let them in water for 48 to 72 hours after. Now, I knew it lasts a bit longer than that, but it can last up to 28 days after you've put it on. Now, you're putting these on every, 3 months? You're doing this to your dog, 2 to 3 months. So it's almost constantly on. The other thing is, if it's on your hands and you're washing your hands, it's going down the sink. So it's just a huge, huge issue. And Sophie did a very good in-depth article here, talking to vets, talking to research scientists that have been researching this topic, and just kind of boiled it down, going, where do we go from here? So you're a very recently new dog co-owner. What's your kind of thought? And I know with Right to Roam, you guys work a lot with kind of not just dogs on treatment and stuff like this, but their populations and where we can take them, where we can't take them. It's a big one to unpack, I think.
It's a huge one to unpack. Our relationship, our historical relationship with dogs as a nation, as a culture, has been one that's, taken all kinds of turns and swings and roundabouts, particularly in the last decade. Increasingly, the population of dogs has gone from 6 million to over 11 million in the last decade. And that's a huge increase. And one thing that I have found through my research and work with Right to Roam and trying to understand what should our approach be towards dogs, is that veterinary surgeons it's not the NHS, they're businesses.
Yeah, exactly.
Vets will tell new dog owners to apply tick and flea treatment as a prophylactic. So you're basically, what that means is you're giving it them as a preventative measure, as opposed to treating something that you've observed, like Ryan says, good animal husbandry. Mm-hmm. You notice that there is a flea, and so then maybe you have to do a flea wash or something, or remove them. There might just be 1 or 2 on there. So we're actually teaching new dog owners. Like, if I took Magpie to the vet now, my vet might say, hey, look, shall I book her in for a flea and treat? And then I'll book her in 6 months after, and then I'll book her in again. So I'm just paying a vet to put my house full of toxins. And as a dog owner, I just think that, oh yeah, flea treatment. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so routine.
There's a lot of misinformation there, and they do make money from it. And so, like, I'm not saying vets are bad people. Vets love animals,
absolutely.
and they're brilliant at what they do. But I also do know that a lot of vets are chains and businesses, and the advice is to treat that treatment like a prophylactic. That would be like me taking antibiotics every day just in case I get an infection.
Yeah.
And we know what over administration of antibiotics has done to antibiotic resistance. So yes, really interesting point, really interesting story. I would love to see a government at some point take a reasonable, responsible approach to dog ownership, which at the moment is completely unregulated. That's breeders, owners. This toxic chemicals that should not be sold over the counter, but because we're a nation of dog lovers, they're too afraid to approach it because it's politically divisive. I would implore all of our listeners to take responsibility, to talk to their families about their pets and how to be a better, more responsible dog owner, not to shame them because their dogs are like family, like my little darling magpie. So yeah, I would say that's a call to action is to read the article and start talking to people about the effects of dogs, because quite often people don't know.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a big topic, and it's nice to see these things hitting like mainstream newspapers and the media as well, because it just gets people thinking. I know I've shared this on my dog walking company's Instagram account to my customers and stuff, and just go, it's time to review our routines a little bit.
We should basically all have an informed doggy position.
Do you want that? You fine with that sentence?
I'm sticking.
Okay, right. What else you got?
Just one little quick one,
Go
and it's
on.
more just a shout out to a really good campaign. River Action are doing a really amazing effort calling out Nando's and it's highlighting something ecological that I think the public aren't aware at. Which is, there are many, many river chicken farms along the River Wye. And the waste that comes off chicken farms, the runoff goes into rivers and causes pollution. The River Wye is one of the only uncontested rivers in the UK that you can get access to. So full of swimmers, kayakers, it's much loved by people. I was actually blessed by the goddess of the River Wye at a ceremony last year. It's all really exciting, very special river indeed. But it's on the point of ecological collapse. It's been redesignated by Natural England by from like their coding efforts like for rivers is declining, like, but it is on the basically it's just a channel of water now, like in terms of insect life, plant life, everything in it is on the brink of ecological because of the pollution. River Action's campaign is doing I just appreciate good campaigning, and whoever's campaigning for rivers over the last few years, they've become top of the agenda, which is really great. But highlighting the fact that Nando's buy their chickens from some of the farms along the River Wye and calling them out publicly, and getting loads of celebrities to call them out publicly to be like, what, like you are getting your chickens from these places and it's killing the River Wye. Obviously, there are other people that buy those chickens too, probably supermarkets, probably other vendors, outlets, but Nando's are the big leading chicken people, right? So it's clever to hopefully they can set a standard and lead the way. So if you haven't supported that, share it, make a noise, tell people that eat Nando's, or tell people that eat Nando's to email Nando's and go, hey, I really care about this. Sort out where you get your chickens from, innit? Absolutely.
Yeah, all the links to everything we've spoken about, including that campaign, if you want to learn more, is in the write-up of this episode, nerds. That's the end of Nature News. We are not here with Nature News next week because we've got episode 2 of our Journey Back to Namibia mini-series, which is coming out on Monday, the 3rd of March, so that'll be there. Episode 2, When the Rain Stops, will be available for you luggos, and then we'll be back the following week with some more nature news, different stories around the world to do with nature, the environment, and anything to do with the natural world. Follow us on social medias. You know what to do. Instagram and Blue Sky. We are there on Twitter, but we're not really tweeting. We're just sharing some episodes. And if you have anything spare, money-wise, of course, and you'd like to chuck it to your favourite wildlife and conservation podcast, you can do so at ko-fi.com/Into the Wild Pod. Anything you give goes into the making of this show. But until next time, have a lovely week. Enjoy Journey Back to Namibia episode 2 next Monday, and we'll see you the week after.
Bye.